This is a guest essay written by Nahum Kaplan of Moral Clarity.
Complaining about rampant Islamophobia is often a cynical tactic that antisemites use to create a conversation about Gaza so they can smear Israel and defame Jews. Communications theorists call it an instrumental grievance. It is a complaint expressed not for its own sake, but to segue to another topic. Complaining about so-called Islamophobia to create an opportunity to talk about the Israel-Hamas war in Gaza is an example. Step 1. Complain loudly that Islamophobia is rising alarmingly and that governments are not doing enough to tackle it. Step 2. Attribute the rise in Islamophobia to people attacking Muslims merely for expressing their justifiable concerns about the Israel-Hamas war. Step 3. Angrily spread lies, quarter truths, and propaganda about what Israel's doing in Gaza to make Israel look bad. And Step 4. Sit back and laugh as the credulous media lap it up, spread the lies, and stoke anti-Semitism. Claims that Islamophobia is surging become more frequent whenever there is some political advantage to be gained from it. In Canada and Australia, both with crucial general elections of late, there are complaints about Islamophobia being made almost daily in electorates and ridings with large Muslim populations. They want to make clear that they will be voting on so-called Muslim issues, by which they mean immigration and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. This Trojan horse trick of talking about one thing and then sneakily shifting the conversation to Israel's alleged sins is just one function of making Islamophobia an issue. Before getting into these other functions, let me be clear. I do not care about Islamophobia. Yes. We are all members of the I oppose all forms of discrimination club. But I am a paid-up lifetime card carrying member of the Don't Mess with the Jews club. Yet I feel I must write about this Islamophobia tactic because those who employ it are sewer-dwelling antisemites, and they are a more serious threat than is generally appreciated, when it is appreciated at all. The most common reason people cry Islamophobia is to shield Islam from criticism. From women's rights to Sharia law, there is no shortage of things to criticize, and crying Islamophobia serves as an all-purpose defense against such criticism. It creates some deliciously stupid scenarios. For example, consider one stating that the Quran is anti-Semitic in parts, and that this contributes to Jew hatred among Muslims. It is a factual statement, but making it will get you branded a racist or, worse, an Islamophobe, which is grammatically intolerable. This has created a ludicrous situation in which criticizing Islam for containing anti-Semitism will get you labeled as a racist, while imams can preach anti-Semitism at their mosques as long as it is coming from religious texts. This is precisely morally backwards. Those opposing bigotry get accused of it themselves, while the actual bigots are free to continue and framed as victims of racism. This dovetails perfectly into another reason for making Islamophobia complaints, which is to frame Muslims as victims. Palestinianism, in particular, demands a deeply tiring victimhood narrative. The Palestinians never accept any responsibility for their starring role in the conflict. Hamas attacks Israel. Israel defends itself and fights back. And the Palestinians and their global army of idiot supporters start complaining about Israeli aggression and pretending they are the victims. Anyone whose brain has not atrophied to peanut proportions can see this is ridiculous. The Arabs started every war against Israel since before the first Arab-Israeli war in 1948. Facts remain true even when they are awkward. Disturbingly, the international media is among those who refuse to let facts or logic interfere with their wholesale acceptance of the Palestinians' provably fictitious narrative. The media's mendacity makes it complicit in the past year's record number of anti-Semitic attacks across the West. Fear of being branded Islamophobic stops people in Western countries from making the most obvious observation that Muslims are behind most anti-Semitic incidents, while it is not Jews behind acts of Muslim bigotry. Anti-Semitism is preached in many mosques, but you do not find anti-Islamic rhetoric coming from rabbis and cantors in synagogues. By crying Islamophobia, anti-Semites discourage people from criticizing Islam because, in Western progressive politics, being labeled a racist or bigot is about the worst thing that can befall you reputationally. What's more, the cynical use of crying Islamophobia as a tactic to talk about Gaza is a very strong tell for anti-Semitism. People who get angry about Palestinian victims from the Gaza war, but show no concern or animation about any of the world's much larger conflicts, including Muslim on Muslim violence, show it is not human suffering they care about. It is only the one conflict involving Jews that riles them. Even an ice hockey referee can see the anti-Semitism here. Many of these anti-Israel protesters are outright jihadists, while some are closet jihadists who hide their jihadism under the guise of support for Palestinians. It is not a very good hiding place, because all informed observers know that Palestinian politics is awash with jihadism and terrorism. Hamas was elected to power in Gaza because it is an Islamist terror group, not despite it being one. The Palestinian Authority is scared to hold elections in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank, because it knows Hamas will win them. Many Palestinian Authority members are, in any case, Islamists themselves. This is hardly surprising, given that Palestinianism is a form of Islamism. Those who want Israel to stop fighting, including many world leaders and stonefish-stupid United Nations types, are doing so because Israel is decimating Hamas. Those demanding a ceasefire are advocating a move that would ensure Hamas, whose violence is so grotesque that it sickens any normal person, remains a political force. These pro-Palestinian protesters are supporting a mass-murdering jihadist terror group. Call me an oddball, but I do not want to live alongside terrorist sympathizers and apologists. When these extremists turn up at rallies with keffiyehs and masks, they are showing their true selves. They have taken their disguises off, not put a costume on. When Hamas tells the world proudly that it wants to kill all Jews, destroy Israel, destroy Arab kingdoms, bring down the West, and impose Sharia law, the international community does not take it seriously. Likewise, when protesters in Western cities support terror and Islamism, no one can see it. Maybe everyone has gone deaf and blind and cannot hear or see what these sociopaths are doing. Too bad they did not go dumb instead, so we would not have to listen to their racist lies and toddler chants. There is also something even more nefarious about these people that rarely gets called out. They are using this issue to normalize religious discourse as part of secular Western politics. In Western countries, religion appears in politics only rarely, around hot-button issues such as gay marriage, but never on issues such as foreign policy. That is by design. This Gaza/Islamophobia fetish is an attempt to bring Islam into mainstream politics. The playbook is well established in Europe. First, Islamists raise an issue. Then, they seek representation in local councils and, voila, religion is playing a role in politics. This is then repeated at higher levels of government. I cannot think of a country that has benefited from having sectarian politics, and anyone who wants to introduce it ought to be punted as far from our political institutions as possible. People are entitled to be angry about the war in Gaza. I recommend they take their grievances up with those responsible for it, the vile Islamist Hamas, which started the war on October 7th in 2023 and which still holds Israeli hostages. If these protesters are not pressuring Hamas, then I presume their motives are dark and anti-Semitic. This problem is going to get worse if Western states do not find the mettle to stop it.